The state put on Officer Salinas today in the San Antonio, Texas trial involving the death of Melissa Perez. It was a fairly contemptuous examination. Here's what we're talking about today. To recap, Melissa Perez was a 46-year-old woman who was suffering a schizophrenic episode. She was killed by 3 San Antonio police officers in 2023. They were fired, her family sued, a federal magistrate dismissed their excessive force case. The state indicted all 3 of the officers for the killing, and they are on trial for that killing. The state called Officer Salinas to the stand and began questioning him about the events on the night of the incident being tried. And it was pretty obvious, almost from the very first set of questions that were asked of this witness, that the state's primary attorney in this case, the tall African American gentleman, just can't stand Officer Salinas. As Exhibit 1, I give you this.
Prime members of the jury, welcome back. My intention is to go through till about 1 o'clock for lunch, and then we'll take a lunch break. If any of you require a lunch break prior to that, just let me know, and we'll break at that. All right, where we last left off, State?
Sir, Officer Salinas, at the break, I believe we left yourself and Officer Rojas with Mr. Uno at the firebox. I'd like to continue. You got, and I believe you testified, you got an estimate of damage of approximately $2,500 for damage that had occurred approximately 2 hours before. Recall that?
Yes.
What did you do with that information?
I spoke to our night investigation.
How'd you do that?
I returned back to my patrol car and called them through my cell phone.
And going to proceed with your body cam here.
They're the professionals. They call my safety. I guess just watch her if she. Are you gonna hang tight around here? Yeah, I just gotta call the detective and speak with him. Sorry? I gotta speak with the detective real quick. Oh, okay, so I'll call him. I'll wait. Meaning for case discussion, I said.
For the record, we're going to move forward in the body cam to approximately 01:36 in 0 seconds. Pause. Okay, now, right as you are, looks at where we paused at 01:36:06. You opening the door to leave your unit,
Yes, that's what appears to me.
and over the course while you were muted, how many calls do you make? How many people did you talk to?
So called 980 first, spoke with Detective Thornton.
What type of guidance did you get from Detective Thornton?
So I advised him that I had a criminal mischief felony amount for the fire alarm. He then responded to complete the report as correct offense, which would be criminal mischief felony amount. And then he gave his badge number, and that was the end of the call.
And you answered the term end of the call. All right, it was end of the call.
End of the phone call.
Sorry?
End of the phone call.
And then what else did you do?
Then I contacted my supervisor, which was Flores.
So this is the second call you made to Sergeant Flores.
Yes.
Okay. And what did you discuss with Defendant Flores?
It was a short conversation. I advised him, hey, my misdemeanor charge for criminal mischief was now upgraded for felony amount. Spoke with Detective Thornton, Knight's AD, and advised him that I would like to try to apprehend her through the open window, which Forrest responded, okay, keep me posted.
So you had approval from your sergeant to try to go in and apprehend through the open window.
I believe so with his response.
And okay,
Did you hear that long pause there? He was wondering why he just asked one more question when he should have stopped right before that. He said, "So you thought you had reason to go in there?" And he said, "Yeah, I did, based on the conversation." Well, of course, that undercuts the entire theory of the state's case, which was that Melissa Perez was privileged to defend herself under the state's castle doctrine law because these officers were breaking in to her home. And I'll leave it to others to decide whether that's the case or whether the officers were just trying to do what they thought was the right thing to do. But either way, it was a mistake on his part to ask that additional question. And did you notice the tone of his questions? I thought the tone of his questions were designed to make it look like Salinas was not telling the truth. And Salinas kept trying to tell the truth, and the guy kept interrupting him.
you see the shadow coming up on your right? We'll back it up.
Forrest?
Who's that coming up on your right hand side?
Ramos?
So all three officers were out in the parking lot. Who's watching Ms. Perez?
From the video, nobody, but I assumed Rojas was.
But again, you see where he was. All three of you are out in the unit. And this is approximately, you turned your body cam off in the first place at 1:23, so 15 minutes before, correct?
Yes,
And who was it that told him it's over, we're done?
that was me.
And your sergeant, you've already testified, understood that it was done when you turned your camera off, correct?
I told him I was going to wrap a misdemeanor and list her as a suspect for the officer report.
My question, that was before you turned your camera off at 1:23, correct?
Yes, man, I told him I was writing a misdemeanor.
Judge, I don't think it's an adverse witness. It's his witness. He doesn't need to cross him like that. I think he needs to direct him and see what personal knowledge he has here.
Right.
Subjectively.
I'll sustain the leading.
So, what does this objection mean? It's his own witness, and he's not letting him answer the questions. Well, if you are cross-examining a witness and you're using leading questions, as this guy was leading him, you heard that there at the end, essentially what happens is you can get the judge to help you and say, "Judge, please make him answer the yes or no question, yes or no." And the judge will generally do that, and then he'll often tell the witness, "Answer it yes or no, and then you can explain." But at the very least, you get him to commit one way or another to whether it's yes or whether it's no. That's one of the foundations, I think, of the truth-seeking process in cross-examination. But when somebody is on direct, they are that person's witness. It's like the state is sponsoring this witness at trial. So as a result, they can't tell him what to say. They ask him open-ended questions, and if he starts answering it in a manner different than they want him to answer it, then what they have to do is let him finish his answer and say, "With all due respect, Officer Salinas, that's not the question I asked you. I asked you if the sky was blue, and you told me that sometimes at sunset it turns a little bit red, and for that reason, I want you to tell me if, generally speaking, the sky is blue." And then they can do it. I mean, that's just an example. And of course, that's not what he's doing. He wants to control the narrative just like he would in cross-examination, because he views this cop as a bad guy. He views him as one of the people who ought to be prosecuted, and he views him that way because he was there at the scene and he didn't stop the entry that was attempted. Now, maybe he's right. Maybe the jury will tell him that he's right. Maybe he's wrong. But either way, you treat witnesses with respect, because if you demonstrate disrespect to a witness, even somebody who doesn't deserve a lot of respect, the jury takes that against you and holds it against you, as they should.
Right? So, and I apologize. But there's nobody watching her, correct?
From the video, no.
And again, you previously testified, you determined you ended the call, correct?
Yes.
Okay? And no new damage or crime occurred. The only thing that occurred is you discovered information from 2 hours plus old. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know the exact time, but yes, I found the value amount.
And it's a statement and it's improper.
Sorry, you can rephrase your question.
Go back again to states 4, the incident detail report. And I'll ask you to look at the second page. What time did the original call go out that led to police officers to respond to this apartment complex?
So at 11:33.
It's 11:33, so that would make it on June 22nd, correct?
Yes.
And if you would just look at the monitor, what time are the three of you walking back to that apartment?
From the body worn camera, it says 1:36.
So you'd agree with me that's 2 hours, 3 minutes after the damage occurred, correct?
Correct.
So, first of all, this is a false cross-examination and it's a distortion of the timeline. You don't go from the time the call was placed. You go from the time that Salinas became involved with the case, and I don't think the question made it clear what this supposed 2-hour time frame was. Clearly, it wasn't a 2-hour time frame from the time that Officer Salinas got involved here. That's the, I think, most interesting part of how, instead of being honest and forthright with the jury or asking Salinas what time he thought this had begun to occur, he instead backdates to the beginning of the call when nobody knew anything. And that's clearly not the right way to go. The officers can't know anything till they get there, and they don't really know anything till they finish talking to the fire captain, and Rojas goes to try to talk to the lady who is obviously obstreperous about the things that have happened that evening. So I'm not sure, I'm really not sure why he is acting in the manner that he is acting, but it's pretty clear to me that he just detests Officer Salinas.
Of Ms. Perez in her apartment.
Like I said, I was under assumption Rojas
Sir,
was.
that's not my question. At this point in time, after you told your fellow officers the call was over, was there continuous pursuit of her at this time as you're walking back?
Like I said, I was on assumption.
Judge, I asked him to let his witness answer. He has an open-ended question and he can answer the question. Please let him answer. It's his own witness.
All right, you can continue.
Can I get a ruling, Judge?
Overruled.
Sir, please answer the question I asked you. You remember the question I asked you?
He said who was watching the apartment.
No, sir. I asked you, at this point in time, of your body camera, 01/36/25, had there been continuous coverage of Ms. Perez's apartment?
From the patio area, no.
Okay.
But from the building, yes, Rojas was standing right there.
And of course, our prosecutor goes right back to interrupting his witness, and the defense attorney stands up and says, "Hey, come on, let him finish. It's his witness. Let him finish the question." And the judge overrules that objection, which I think is improper. And I would suggest that again is error because, again, the proper procedure is to let him answer the question and then have him re ask the question. You didn't understand my question. My question was this. Or what part of, when did you go? Was the house continuously monitored? What part of that didn't you understand? Something like that would be appropriate. But this continuing to interrupt him is not appropriate. It's actually a breach of decorum in the courtroom. And for whatever reason, I think the judge is just tired of the fact that this trial is taking forever. And so rather than deal with the procedural issue here, which is an important procedural issue, by the way, he says overruled and lets him go. And then this officer smacks that prosecutor right upside the head by saying, "From the patio area, no." And then he waits a few seconds, but from where we were, yes, because that house was right there and we were standing there looking at it, or whatever it is that he said. And so he just completely blew the answer for the prosecutor. And that's going to continue to keep happening because the cops that they're calling to testify, particularly Salinas here, who has a reputation to think about, they don't like the fact that they are prosecuting these other officers, and they thought they had an absolute legitimate right to go in. And whether they did or whether they didn't, that's a legal question, and that's going to be one of the things the judge is going to determine at some point and instruct the jury on. But at this point, that hasn't even been made an issue, or they haven't actually given a ruling yet on that issue. So I guess the prosecution is scoring a few points here, but it certainly doesn't look like a very professional examination of a witness, at least from my viewpoint. In addition, this is yet another series of questions that are designed to prove the same thing that they've already tried to prove multiple times before about whether they had the right to go in there or not. And this is becoming repetitive, it's redundant, they are not letting this trial progress because they keep asking the same set of dumb questions. So again, take my criticism for what it's worth. That and $5 you can get a cup of coffee at Starbucks that might not eat your stomach out. I don't know. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here today. If you have the opportunity today, try to do one kind thing to help somebody else. Any kind thing will do. Buy somebody a Coke, get them a cup of coffee. Anything that makes their day better, that would be a way to help make the world a better place. Because after all, isn't that what we're all after? Now, YouTube has a few things that they think you might be interested in, and they're going to be showing you that right up there.